Hi everyone, Dr. Byrne here for another episode of Revive TV. This month at Revive, we're focusing on all things related to gut health. So today's topic is going to be the 12 reasons why you should consider improving your gut health. Okay, so as I said at the top, this month we're focusing on all things related to gut health. Later in the month, we are having our Inspired Eating Workshop in the practice. If you go to the link below, that'll take you there where you can register for that event. And we're going to dive deep into the things we're discussing today and other health-related issues around food and how it affects our gut there. Let's just talk about gut health for a moment. It's been an increase in discussion in both the health and wellness industry and the food industry as such. I think what's important is it kind of relates to a whole range of gastrointestinal or GI tract aspects. So it can include things like how well we absorb and digest our food. It will include things like the health of our any illnesses related or the absence of illness in our gastrointestinal system. It also includes we talk about the flora or the microbiome of the gut, so how stable and how normal that is, and then how effective our immune function is, how healthy and well we are, and how well do we fight off disease. So all these aspects related to gastrointestinal health are included when we're trying to talk about why, what gut health is. Scientifically, we probably don't have a great term for what is gut health per se. But what we do know is that if we can understand the relationship or the machinations between our gastrointestinal barrier and the gastrointestinal microbiome, and so the microbiome includes things like bacteria and parasites and different things that are inside our gut. If we can understand the relationship between those two, and we do understand that more, and we can get them to work more in cohesion, then the greater our gut health is going to be. So, what has contributed to this perceived increase in gut health related issues? What has changed to make this such a big thing? Is it just we're just more aware of it? Well, since the Second World War, the amount of chemicals that have increased in our environment, in our skincare products, our foods, the atmosphere in general, has increased in the tens of thousands. In 1960, there was a book written called The Silent Spring, and by Anna Carson. And in that book, Carson describes then, almost 60 years ago, how our food, animals, our plants, and even our waterways, how they've been polluted by the increased use in chemicals in our farming and in our forest maintenance. Another 20 years later, in 1980, Theo Colson wrote a book, Our Stolen Generation. And in part of that book, Colson describes how the polar bears in the Arctic had an increase in diseases and even infertility by the plethora of chemicals that were in their environment. And we would mostly assume that the Arctic was pretty pristine if we're thinking like almost 40 years ago. So we want to fast forward that through to today and imagine the amount of chemicals that are in our environment now and how many more we've absorbed, the generational absorption of chemicals as well. And so over the last 10 years, there's been an enormous amount of research gathered and studied and collected to give us a great indication of the relationship between the chemicals in our world and how it is affecting our gut health. And by a correlation or connection there, then now how our gut health is then affecting our overall state of well-being. So we're going to share with you now the 12 reasons why you should consider improving your gut health. Okay, so here's a list of the reasons why you should consider improving your gut health. The first is it improves our immunity and our overall protection. It also helps make B vitamins and vitamin K. It also helps in the production of neurotransmitters like serotonin, and serotonin is great for our mental state and well-being. It improves the digestion and absorption of the nutrients in our food. It helps protect the lining of our GI tract. It enhances the communication between our cells, and it also helps us when we want to correct any of our food choices. So we make bad food choices. It helps in the correction to limit the damage. It protects us from a few harmful things. One, heavy metals, and there's a lot of heavy metals in our environment. Two, and this is one we'd be aware of, it helps us protect us from bad bacteria, bad parasites, bad viruses, etc., etc. There is a relationship between the gut and the brain. So when we have good gut health, it's going to affect our brain health and our mental health in a positive way, or negative if it's poor. Then there's just the overall health and well-being aspect of having good gut health. And finally, it converts sugars into amino acids and fatty acids. So it's really essential. With those reasons, it's just obvious that it's really essential that we feed our microbiome, our gut microbiome, our gut bacteria, flora, the right foods to help it keep balanced and well functioning. The better functioning your gut health is, the better functioning you are as a human. So next week we'll dive into ways that you can improve your gut health. As I said at the start, just register below for our Inspired Eating Workshop. We're going to dive deep into this topic and other food-related matters that will help improve your health. I really appreciate you watching today's episode. I look forward to sharing you more on gut health next week.